Hey guys, Liz here bringing you another video. Welcome back to Challenger Spectate. Today we are watching Rank 1 EU West Angerin. We've watched him many a time, but a lot of people, even in Twitch, has just said, like, apparently his Elise is quite something. I don't know if you watched his Elise yet. And this game, it should be quite an impressive showing of him, especially when you put it in, you know, when you have a crazy high player playing in low ranks, they can look very impressive. Just reminding everyone, this is a rank 1 crazy high rating player playing with other challenger players. So, apparently he's rank 1 on EU West and rank 1 on EU Northeast at the same time, apparently as well. That's probably the only time that's ever happened in League history, I'd imagine. That's kind of nuts. So starting W, standard on Elise, because you can scout that. You can also, a couple seconds before the camp comes up, you can put the spider bomb out, as it were. And then, she did know they were in there. You put the spider bomb out, and then you swap to spider form, and it gives you a bit of an initial power spike. Not entirely sure why the enemy team were even going for that invade. It's always risky, like Kha'Zix, which is, again, it does weird me out a bit that he's not going flash. He's gone Ghost, and you know you're not going to take E level 1 on Kha'Zix. That would annihilate your clear, so he would have had no escape if they did get caught there. So they just back away. It's going to screw the Kha'Zix a little bit in time, but at least he's not dead. And Albany Boom does make a good point of, in your opinion, what is the strongest role? Because for somebody to be rank 1 in 2 servers at the same time, their role has to be incredibly strong. And we've all said it, jungle is the least popular role pretty much in most ratings now, but it has the highest impact. And part of the reason why it's not very popular is because it's got so much on you. If you play bad in the jungle, 9 games out of 10, you lose that game. If you play really good in the jungle, you can carry. You can win the game basically nearly, not by yourself, but you win the game for your team. It is definitely the strongest role by far in terms of solo queue prowess. Anyway, does a bit of a weird start, goes red buff, does then over to the Krug, and then is looking for an invade. So Kha'Zix here will not, by the way, at all expect this Elise. Like, who the hell would expect this? She's going to go on the hunt, uses her flash, 1 auto, then the Q, and does get the kill. Very nice. And now is going to probably look for their red. Again, only level 1 Ezreal. Oh, snap! Aggressive. Oh my god, what is going on? Hyper aggro play. Ezreal's going to commit to try and get the Ezreal. Sorry, the Amumu doesn't get it, and that's another kill for Elise. Wow. That was aggressive. But what that does stop, though, I would say, is I think the plan was to go and get their red. I don't think Elise can do that now because of the delay of killing the Ezreal, which is great. It's going to give Kha'Zix respawn time. He'll be back, and then I know people say, but the Elise is stronger. You know, she could just stand her ground and get the red. It's risk versus reward. You've already done an amazing thing. You've got 2 kills. Why risk any more? Go back in your jungle, finish up power farming because, you know, didn't do all the camp. Okay, now that's peculiar. Wow, okay. So of the note that you're like, oh, I'm not going to go do their red because Kha'Zix is going to return. It's going to be funny. Kha'Zix didn't even return to red. Kha'Zix went top lane and killed Jax. Which, again, that Jax probably didn't expect anything because, by natural assumption, Kha'Zix is going to return and do their red buff, that they got bullied off or they got killed. So now what's happening? Angerin goes, wait a minute, they didn't go there. Okay, I'll do it, I guess. And then's going to take their buff. So, very weird play. And this, by the way, could translate into a bot lane gank at the same time. I would potentially go for a Sona. Ezreal also doesn't have flash, but obviously has a bit more mobility. So one flank is going to go for the Ezreal, forces E early, and then hello, the Elise is here, does Cocoon, gets an assist on that, and then does a bit of damage on the Sona, forces flash, be careful, is careful, and there we go. Very nice. Alright, good start by Elise, by the way. Gold-wise, holding 1,700 versus, well, total gold 2,200 versus Kha'Zix's 1,600, basically, so very big advantage early. Also worth knowing, and again, I used to play Elise. It's not really changed in 5+ years. Tier 2 boot rush. Still the thing you do if you're having a good early game on Elise. Why? It ultimately just gives you so much more pressure. You're faster, you're spiderlings, you can stay on people. you are hyper aggro early in terms of you want to be aggressive, you want to move into their jungle. Well, if they can't get away from you, yeah, just tier 2 boots is a magical thing. So now translating this into dragon, again, when you've got a Callista, why not? One of the best helps of dragons and objectives in the game. She does want to peace out early, so she does her rend early, lets her base. I think that's fine. And then ultimately, bam, there we go. And then in theory, should return to power farming. So should go Krug into Wolf, into Chickens, into top camp, and maybe even Red at that point. And yeah, Bindi Boom does make a good point. She used to at one point go even mobility boots in the early game for that incredibly high pressure movement speed in the early. She doesn't do that anymore. Sork boots is the thing to rush. Also got a dark seal, so is expecting to have a relatively good game. I know a lot of people, and you know, I admit the point. People say, oh, it's relatively cost effective even at 0 stacks. I know it's not a terrible item at 0 stacks, but to me it is. Meanwhile, so does Dead Roam. A bit of a weird roam by Yone, but it works out. But Amuma gets the kill. And now looking for a dive on the Ezreal, poor fella. I do still personally feel it's a message that you are sending going, I am buying a Dark Seal. I am expecting to get strong here. Cleansed by Ezreal, has to use it early, and now the minions are coming and you've already used Cleanse. So he's going to try and maybe escape. Can he just run while the Elise is on him? Probably nearly. He's got flash. It does get away because of that flash. But yeah, bit of a rough bot lane. And this is a great example of a game, I also will say. And let's not ignore the Amumu's actually playing really well. An effective way you jungle solo queue. Sona, why would you walk back in? I don't know. Pick a lane, and it's annoying. And, you know, when we all get camped, it's frustrating and you get a bit salty about it. But it's really effective. You cannot argue it's not effective. It is. Especially when there's something like a Sona that, you know, she's so squishy. If you sneeze, she can die. But yeah, this is just going incredibly well for Amumu and Elise. Oh, Departed. Departed 1,000+ ultra. Thank you so much, my dude. Hope you're doing well. That's really kind. Thank you. Jax, by the way, finds a Kha'Zix and kills a Kha'Zix. So I presume because, you know, what is the Kha'Zix going to do when it's going bad in bot lane? Well, you either go help bot lane, but it's risky if the momentum is in the enemy team's favor. You counter jungle, you counter farm, and he probably was trying to do that, and Jax goes, hey, I found you. And then, yeah, Kha'Zix, without flash, especially without even his ulti, doesn't have that stealth to get away, is going to get run down by a Jax. All right, so Sona now is walk to mid lane, might be a bit tilted off bot lane. Ezreal, again, 27 to 66 farm, is half farm. And you can't even say, like, they've played terribly in bot lane. Again, remember, these are still challenger players. This is just pressure. I would say I'm very impressed with the Amumu. I cannot ignore the Amumu from this game. I know we're focusing on Elise, and this is basically how you play Elise, is you pick a lane and spam the living hell out of it in the early game and make it basically impossible for them to play the game. And, you know, the funny thing is, she might, of the Elise, gone, I'm picking on Sona. And she's top lane, so where's the Elise? Near top lane. Like, you can just do that sometimes. It's mind-bogglingly tilting. I know I've played mid, been in one of those situations you're being camped, and you're like, right, I'll go bot lane and farm. And then they follow you. Oh, Departed. They follow you down there. What the hell? Departed with a 2,000+ ultra. Thank you so much, Departed. That's very kind, man. Thank you. I appreciate that massively. Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Anyway, Ezreal is getting potential towered over again, but a Syndra teleport did stop it happening. So I'm sure Ezreal is grateful, but it's not actually that good for the Syndra. Elise pushing mid lane and is going to use the Rift Herald straight away, maximize gold, and considering we know the mid lane is not there, why not? Kha'Zix does do and tries to hold mid a bit. Is going to get a few plates at the moment. Maybe one more before Syndra. Yes, with the minions. There it is. One more, and there we go. Ezreal, though, alone in bot lane again. It's just a running theme that, oh, Amumu misses his first Q. He's going to be patient, the Amumu. Wait for his Q, and you could Q back, or you don't need to because the Ren stacks did add up. Elise and Yone looking for the Kha'Zix, and they get the Kha'Zix. So this is basically a stomp, but I think you can kind of tell this stomp has happened from jungle. It's happened from jungle pressure. And Departed 666 biddies. Thank you much, Departed. It's happened from what early the Elise invades the red, kills the Kazakhs, and then camps bot lane, crushes the bot lane, and they're going to struggle. Funny enough, if you look at top lane, the Jax's farm is atrocious. Kazakhs has spent a bit of time in top lane, so Aatrox has had a relatively free lane. Even though the Jax has got 2 kills, a lot of those do have involved towers. But now, bam, Elise is straight to top lane, and that's sometimes what you can do, is I'm going to camp 1 lane early, get myself fed as the early game Elise. I'm now really strong in mid-game, and it's not even mid-game to be honest, but I'm strong now. I can then go to a lane that I normally wouldn't gank because I'm overly fed. Ganking an Aatrox is risky, but not when you're, at the time, 5-0 or whatever she was. And now, will the Kazakhs have the confidence to go for a dragon? No. That is also how important jungle is when you are so far behind in jungle, it doesn't just affect like, oh, I'm so weak. It affects how you're playing. It's, I can't go for that dragon. I'll get killed. I can't go for that Rift Herald. I can't do that Baron because, oh, what happens if Elise shows up? And the most likely person that's ever going to arrive in these situations is the opponent jungler. So, yeah. And Arbindy Boom just makes a good point. And it's one that I have said before. I remember when I was recently, not recently, but like a few months ago, thinking, oh, maybe I should get back into the jungle. Everybody obviously has their own opinions about how you should play the game. Everybody's got their own opinions about everything in life. And one of the things that I always had was I relatively played in this style. Obviously, nowhere near the same, nowhere near as clean. But I skipped camps. I ganked a lot more than the average jungler in modern day League. And everybody was like, Huz, you're playing it wrong. You're not playing it in modern day League of Legends. And I'm like, what the hell's modern day League of Legends jungling? And apparently modern day jungling, excuse me, good flash, does get the Elise. Aatrox escapes with his flash. But modern day jungling is apparently supposed to be full clearing. And in the time that you've got until it comes back up the camp, you gank in between. Like, that is apparently the more modern style of ganking. It's the most efficient way, you could say, of maximizing your gold so that you're getting guaranteed income from the jungle. Guaranteed is always good, but then your downtime of, I've got no camps up, I'll then gank. It does make sense, you know, you can't really argue with it. I don't know why Aatrox just walked forward, but his healing is keeping him alive because Aatrox. And that, unfortunately, is not turned into a great play for Red Team. They're having to also walk through a tower. Kalista tanks it. Not sure if people noticed, but that little back step that Elise made gave a little bit of extra time, whoa, for good return, by the way. It gave it that little bit extra it took for then the Kalista to tank the tower, and because she was full health, it was much better for her. Really good turnaround, though, with the obviously the Kalista ulti. Ezreal has decided to join the party, but he is still over half farm. Oh, this is a very risky Elise. Don't think it's worth it. Again, a risk versus reward. The reward is killing an Ezreal that's already 0-6. I mean, they might just end up dead. Amumu's going to die. Sonaso gets the kill. Ouch, that's going to be tilting for the Ezreal. And I think that will probably be the end of the play. But again, always measure risk versus reward. You're 6-0 Elise, you're very fed. It's a 0-6 Ezreal. Why risk him killing you? If you kill him, great. He's 0-7. It's not that big of a difference. If he kills you, he gets a big shutdown. And, you know, shutdowns can get you back into the game. So, ultimately, I think they could have backed away a little bit quicker than that. But, especially the Elise and the Amumu have played so high tempo, high aggro this game. It is also sometimes hard to snap out of that mentality as I'm playing aggro, I'm going in. But yeah, hey, Penguin. Your name always reminds me of Pengu, and Pengu, unfortunately, is just very busy in life nowadays, so he can't really come to stream as much. But, yeah. Alright, so going back to do a bit of farming. Again, Kazakh's ahead in farm, because, again, he can't gank as much. This is how you play Elise, by the way. If anybody has got inspiration of, I want to play Elise, I want to have more impact in early game as a jungler, this is how you do it. High tempo, ganking constantly. A lot of the time, pick one lane. If it's a squishy bot lane that has like a Soda and Ezreal in it, both squishy champions, you know, Ezreal's not even a champion that can buy shield bow to you know, save himself a little bit. He's got mobility, but if you get his flash early, then have a good follow-up support like in a Mumu, you've got your cocoon. There's ways around it. You can kill it, as we've seen this game. So, Rift Herald has respawned. Jax, by the way, is 3-2-1. So it is kind of funny seeing a Jax KDA-wise doing well, but farm so bad. But it could just be priority in that. Jax might not be prioritizing full farm, where the Aatrox might be. That always can play a little bit of part of it. Waiting and lurking to see if Ezreal would cross over. Seeing, and yeah, he's going for the farm. Starting in spider form is just going to see if she can auto-attack him down. And because how fed she is, yes, she can. So again, there's always a thing of, you don't have to do the perfect combo. You don't have to start with your human form, put your W, cocoon, Q, spider form. That's like the full damage DPS combo. Well, when you're this fed, just kill him. You know, if she went human form, he might have actually got away. If she missed a spell, she wouldn't have constantly been doing DPS. So that's also another thing of just do damage, even if that means you're not doing the perfect combo as well. Now going for a tier 2 tower, can easily get away with doing this because of how much, well, the enemy team is struggling. The Syndra just died mid lane. She knows she's strong enough that a Kha'Zix can't even come and fight her. It is worth knowing, if I'm not mistaken, and he's going for it, which is a bit surprising, and he does kill the Spiderlings first, but Elise has always partially been, and there he dies. So I don't know why the Kha'Zix did that bit of tilt potentially, but Elise is a partial counter to Kha'Zix. Naturally, that Kha'Zix wants isolation damage, that his Q, if a target is isolated, it does more damage, obviously. If she's got her spiders up, she's not isolated if she's standing next to them. And that's why you saw there, I don't know if it was obvious, the Kha'Zix more jumped on her spiders than her to kill her spiderlings to then give him isolation damage on his Q. But obviously, because how fed they are, they could more or less reset. Again, she gets spiderlings from hitting abilities, and then when she goes back in spider form, she'll get her spiderlings back. And yeah, so nice attempt, I'd say, by Kha'Zix, but I think it's a little bit too far gone. All right, basing the Elise now is going to buy a Riley and then a Blasting Wand. Also worth knowing, are they going to do it Medjay? Oh, they're not. They have not gone Medjay. Again, Medjay, very risky item. Some players, including myself, and hell, it could be the same for Agarin, or however I pronounce it. You feel cursed when you buy it at Medjay. You can get 10 Dark Seal stacks, keep it at 10 stacks. The moment you get Medjay, I'm dead. And then you respawn, I'm dead again. It's weird, but like it is sometimes like that. Paul just asked my opinion on Cassante. Really cool champion design. I really like his theme. Upon playing him the first time, he was obscenely weak, but people have told me he's had a buff on the PBE. So we might have to do a PBE session soon, just to see if he feels any different. Because yeah, he didn't feel great. I know I didn't play it perfectly. You're not going to play a new champion perfectly, but I play, whenever a new champion comes out, I always test it. So it's kind of like equal, if that makes sense. I'm never going to play any of the new champions perfectly. And he felt incredibly weak. Hey, Fraxton. But I do think he's got a really cool theme. So I do hope he'll be strong eventually. So the one thing about this Kha'Zix, I will say, he is not giving up. Yone going a bit over-aggressive. Elise coming in to follow up. Just auto-attacking. Gets the Kha'Zix as well. Double kill. But yeah, that was the Kha'Zix engaging, by the way, on the Yone to try and make something happen. I guess, you know, you're either going to just accept it's a defeat, or you try and get something. And what is the most effective way, by the way, or most two effective ways if you're having a really bad game of League, lovely play there, there's two main ways to get back into a game. I would say arguably Aatrox desperately trying to get this Elise, by the way, and does get 1,000 gold shutdown. One way is objectives. If you can sneak a Baron steal, or you can sneak a Dragon steal, something like that can get you back into the game, obviously. The second one is a big shutdown. So those are usually the two ways to get yourself back into games. It's hard to get back into games, obviously, just the nature of League of Legends, but it is the way that you can do it, I'd say, arguably the most. Some people would add different ones. Some people are like, oh, maybe having a split pusher that's just constantly doing it and it draws the attention. It can happen, but it also can completely backfire. Obviously, all of these things can backfire. If you go for a Baron steal, you don't steal it, you die, well, then suddenly the game could just be over. But anyway, that is it. That is the game over. Nexus dead. So that is probably one of the best examples I can show you of how you actually play Elise. High tempo, departed. High tempo, high aggro, you take over, and you basically more or less pick one lane and annihilate it. And that's what this Elise did. Departed with another plus ultra. Departed is very kind, my dude. Thank you. But that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy, please do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime.